course, Nema has been put to a pedestal in regards to its laxity in oversight over this development project. Now, we do know that the developer, in this case, the Repel Area Group, say that it's part of the ongoing renovation project ahead of two conferences that they will be hosting in 2024. One is NAM, and the other is the G7 plus China convention that will be taking place at the resort that was selected as the hosting venue for both of these events. And this is next year. Nema has confirmed that they did approve what is going on as far as the land filling activity is concerned at the Munyonyo Speak Resort. And so we want to get it from the horse's mouth. What is the exact arrangement, the implications and the resolutions in terms of environmental protection, especially towards our Lake Victoria that continuously seems to be under threat because of developers. There's also been that whole debate of when it comes to enforcement, there seems to be lenience of enforcement to one who has bags of money to their account versus one who has 0 shillings as their account balance. But they have to speak for themselves. We are joined by the corporate communications manager here, and that is Madam Naomi Karekaho, who's going to be explaining to us exactly the nitty-gritties of what is happening at the lake shores that are, of course, part of the Speak Resort Commonwealth in Munyonyo. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Okay, so first help Ugandans understand what is the legality of what is happening currently at the Commonwealth Speak Resort Munyonyo.
First, let me put it out there that what is happening in Munyonyo is legal. What is happening is legal. Waterfronts are supposed to be developed. They are supposed to, it's a natural resource that is supposed to contribute to economic developing of Uganda. People travel all over the world to go to waterfronts. They go to Hawaii, to Bahamas, name them, just so that they find waterfronts to, you know, to acquire pleasure. We have a resource that the second largest freshwater lake in the world, Lake Victoria. What should we do with it? Ignore it? No. There are two concepts to managing environment. There is conservation, strict conservation, and strict conservation is attained through gazettement. Parliament gazettes certain natural resources for strict conservation not to be touched. For example, we have Ramsar sites. They are wetlands that cannot be touched, Nabamba and some others in the country. There are forests that are supposed to be strictly protected. Now, central forest reserves are supposed to be protected. If they are to be used, Parliament goes through a process of degazettement. But then there are other natural resources that should be used sustainably, regulated, and lake shores, riverbanks, and mountainous and hilly areas, and some wetlands are supposed to be used in that manner. So the case of Munyonyo, you know that originally Munyonyo was built to host the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in Uganda, Chogam, in 2020, in 2007. 2007. Yeah. So that was a government project which was built in partnership with the Speak Resort Munyonyo brand. The investment arm of government, UDC, has shares in Munyonyo, and the environment law gives priority to government projects. For example, railway lines, SGR, will go through wetlands, partly because it reduces compensation costs. Roads, dams, all these things happen in sensitive ecosystems. So it is not illegal that Munyonyo is developing that area. It's supposed to do that in a regulated manner. What does that mean? That they submit studies to Nema for review, and we do those reviews and approve. And the major condition of approval is to limit pollution coming from those facilities. Let's
talk about that pollution point exactly. From what we have seen, we seem to see the lake being polluted by the soil, because this soil is then being pushed into the lake, into the waters, which is polluting the waters. I think that is a point of contention in what you approved versus what is actually being done on ground. Now that's not acceptable.
You're right, but there's two sides to it. First and foremost, if construction is approved, there is no way you're going to have construction that is seamless, where you'll not move soils or soils will not move a little bit. But what Munyonyo did, what Commonwealth Resort did that was not right, was not to build gabions as one of the conditions that were given. Gabions are, you know, some sort of embankment of barricades of rock and soil, of rock and sand to stop soil from washing into the lake. That is what they did wrong. And we have given them an improvement notice and required them that they stop until they have done that.
So why not, instead of requiring them, because from your statements that you gave with the presser, you were requesting them to stop?
No, not requesting.
Those were the words that you used. We can get the recording for you. Okay. But your words were that you were requesting them to stop doing that and use the alternative that you had given them. Why not have them stop the work, first build that, and then they can continue with the works? That would be the safer way to protect the lake.
Well, first you need to understand that the law requires that they have permission to build the waterfront for the benefit of greater majority of Uganda and for the enjoyment of the guests that we're going to host here. But the condition is that they should not pollute. That's according to the law. And the law also requires them that they should not pollute the water for which they attract the guests to watch and to enjoy. So it's a duty upon them which they have overlooked, and they are required to make good. But that being said, it is not new openings of that, as it's been misunderstood that they are opening, I mean, new land that they are reclaiming, that they are, no, this is an old title that they have had. But because they are going to host these big conferences, they are required to build a parking area, they are required to expand the conference facility, and they are supposed to ensure that in case water rises or it rains, the guests do not sink in the soils. So they are elevating, they are just improving, only that the improvement that involves land and earth will cause a bit of dirt and a bit of, you know, looking uncomfortable. But it is permitted, it is legal, it is for the good of every Ugandan. You don't have to pay that much money to go to the Indian Ocean, to Mombasa. You can enjoy the benefit of accessing water here in your Munyonyo. It's for the greater good of Uganda, provided you get it right. So
you would rather simply wait for them to act in accordance with what you approved than causing them to stop the work and then go by the prerequisitions that you gave them in order to have this work upgrade, as you've called it, to happen to the resort, you know. So which one is it?
You know, when you stop the work, you are delaying the beating of a deadline for preparation of the conferences. So you have got to look at it logically. What is it that you want to achieve? You want to use the lake to use the natural resources to host comfortably your guests. So do you want to hold just for the sake of holding because you have the authority to do so, to delay the works? Or
no, to make sure that the works are done rightfully, which is your duty as Nema?
I will give you information that as we speak, I have current information that grass is already being planted. So stoppage has been done for your comfort. Stoppage has been done, and plant is being and grass is being replanted. But I'm not speaking for the Commonwealth, for the developer. I am just saying for government, who is a shareholder anyway. Are we doing the right thing? Yes, we are doing so. We are inspecting. We have done inspections, and inspections proved that what they are doing is according to the approvals that we are given, except they did not build the gabions, and that really they should take responsibility for. But they are required to do so now, and they have planted grass. They are planting grass where you are seeing movement of earth. So we are on course, mindful of the fact that we have a timeline to build. The conference is not going to move.
Has the developer committed to build?
What?
To build, yeah.
It is a requirement. They either do it and host.
But have they committed to actually back on building it?
Absolutely, they must. And if they do not, then I mean we have no option but to stop, which is not our desire. It's not what we want.
At what point would that consideration be tabled on Nema's side?
Upon not fulfilling the current requirements, because the current requirements show that soil is washing into the lake. The immediate thing has been to plant grass so that there's no more wash off into the lake, but also immediate construction of the gabion. And if that doesn't happen, then we'll be left no option but to stop the works.
Is there a time frame of which this condition has been given?
Immediate.
Immediate.
With immediate effect.
Okay, so this gabion should be up within the next, say, fortnight?
I mean, with construction, unless you're going to do shoddy work, you've got to plan it, you've got to have the resources to purchase them. So within the immediate possible time, they should be up. But the one thing that they have done already is to plant grass, which is another mitigation measure that is permitted under
but we also know that grass takes time to grow in order to achieve the purpose for which it has been planted.
We have technology. Yeah. We bring
already
grass.
Grown grass. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Let's talk about the property of the developer in terms of land. Their argument is also based on the fact that they're only and simply reclaiming the land that was originally theirs, but because of what happened in 2021, 2022, lake waters rising, they claimed some of their property. So how are we drawing the line between this is lakeshore and this is property of the developer?
Well, the lakeshore can be used by the developer with permission. They have a land title, a large land title for that whole area. They do not own the lakeshore, but they are permitted to use it with a license from Nema. So they are using it under regulation and license. Yeah. Okay.
So in light of what happened 2021, 2022, we are most likely provoking another one of such cases where when the water levels rise yet again, it's going to do more harm than good with the construction that's happening. So how are you mitigating to ensure that the lake is protected either way?
You know, there are no circumstances under which you can control nature. There are no circumstances under which you can guide nature. You know, don't go here, don't go there. You know, don't rain now, or rain a little less because we already have sufficient rains. In 2021, there had been projections previously that the water levels were going to increase, which is something that had happened in the 1960s. And so in nature there are cycles. So the cycle was going to repeat in 2021, and it truly came to pass. Projection as of now have not indicated another water rising, but we have El Nino, we have climate change, we have you know, unexpected large volumes of rain that would pour, so that we are not able to, we haven't predicted yet, or we haven't received those predictions. But in the event that the water levels rise, then the developer should not subject their guests to sinking and to the discomfort. What are they doing? Elevating the compound. That is what is happening. That is what is happening. Elevating the compound, so that in the event that it rains, or in the event that the water levels increase, then people are not affected, so that the water remains where it is and the people remain where they are.
Another debate has been on where does the role of Nema start and stop? Does it start and stop at providing approvals, or does it also continue into supervisory of the running project?
The mandate of Nema is to supervise, coordinate, regulate, and monitor. So we do not stop at regulating. It's a whole, we do that, it's a whole value chain. It starts from doing studies to approving and to providing conditions of approval and development of such facilities. And by the way, Munyonyo is not the only one which is built in a lakeshore or a riverbank. We have Jinjanal Resort, we have Kalangala facilities, we have so many in Jinja, we have Lemala, which is actually right on top of the water. And these are good for they are good for tourism of the country. It's not the only one, except that it's on the spot. But that's not where that's not where the work stops. We do studies, we do advise, we do monitor, we do inspect. That's why you still have lakes and rivers with a good level of integrity compared to so many other countries that you know, have polluted waters. Ours are polluted at certain points, but even that pollution we are aware of. But it's a balance. What do? Do we stop development altogether and strictly conserve, or do we conserve and continuously monitor and regulate those activities so that we achieve both development and natural resources sustainability? Okay,
so when it comes to monitoring, then it begs the question that some people feel that Nema actually chooses to be lax about certain or chooses to have oversight, not look certain things when it comes to who is who in terms of environmental conservation and protection. And so instead of, best example is the fact that they didn't go by the recommendations and one of the conditions that you have talked about, building the gabion as they do the development of that particular area, and they didn't do that. And the way Nema is responding is rather, according to the people, with kindness than with an iron hand that they would have wanted to see. Nema saying that, okay, because we are strictly supervising this project until this is put in place, because I believe that in accordance to Nema, that is the better regulated way of actually having the development proceed. And so is it selective enforcement?
No. What I get from your question is that you expect Nema to walk around with sticks and guns and shovels and basically whip people around.
It's the role of Nema that you have shared with us earlier.
No, our role is to guide development, and that I can tell you we have done. I'll give you one of the examples nearest to where we are. The Entebbe Expressway, you know, it traverses many wetlands, yeah. But we required that they do not pour soil in the wetland to build the road, that they suspend. That's an excellent example. That's not the only one. We have supervised construction of all these dams, Karuma, Isimba, Nalubale, name them. We have supervised development and construction of roads. All these malls, we have supervised them. But from time to time, some developers miss the mark, and I think that missing the mark should not be visited on Nema as an inefficiency or selective implementation. No, we do implement. That same developer applied to build a hotel in you know Kitubulu in Entebbe. You're familiar with that story. And we asked him to collect and remove that soil. But did we get accolades for that? Maybe not. So it's not selective at all. It is not selective as to who has money or who doesn't have. But it is really our standard and our benchmark is sustainable developing. Are we achieving the purpose for which we were created, to ensure sustainable development? To a large extent, yes. But I mean, it's never 100%. Sometimes some developers miss the mark, and we go back to them, like we have said. We have asked them to do better, and we expect that they will do better.
I guess where the conflict for the people is in how it is implemented. While you write to this developer requesting them to realign with the quotas to the approvals were given, in another case scenario altogether, when there's an encroachment on another property and it's not an investor, quote unquote, or a person with money bags, the approach will be rather ruthless. It will be not kind to humanity in terms of how you will be impressing on them what should be or what shouldn't be according to your standards. So I guess that's where the conflict is, that the same Nema will deploy police to go to a wetland X and evacuate people there. But the same Nema has that same Nema police, but it will not send it to a developer to ensure that they go by the conditions that were given in approvals. I guess that's where the debate for people is. So what's your voice in that?
So the inroad to how environment is managed, at least from a Nema point of view, is the law, is the environment, which requires Nema to review environment impact assessments for developments. The people who you call money bags, or the investors who you call money bags, they do, as a matter of requirement, undertake studies which they bring to Nema, and we review, we approve. So those ones we regularly inspect. We ask them to submit audits which are reviewed, and that's routine. And those are the ones who you see regularly, you know, in the newspapers, because they would have published the work that they intend to do anyway. But the ones who you say are in wetland X and you evict, somebody who's going to build a makeshift home in a wetland for a period of time, that person does not have an EIA, or an environment impact assessment approved, or a certificate. So they are purely illegal. The only option left to Nema is to evict. I'll give you a simple example. There are many wetland systems in Uganda, in Kampala Central, which is closest to where we are. There's a wetland called Chetinda, the one nearest to Munyonyo. So there's some time back we went and did inspections, and it was being heavily encroached by many people. So we found them and asked them, what do you expect that we do for you? Because you're right in the middle of water and you have no permission, you have not requested. And they said, you see, Fetuvaku Street, the Banzalidak Street, no, this is my first home that I have built. It's a shack. Kati, if you send me away from here, I'm going to go back onto the street and steal. What do we do for that sort of person? So it's deeper than meets the eye.
Okay.
So those ones, they come just to stay for a little while. You probably will give them time, because if you evict them, you're causing another problem, a security problem in the city. They're going to go back to robbery and, you know, to all sorts of things. But if you leave them there, they compact the land, and now it becomes a plot. That's the plot, which now they sell at a higher value or premium to this person who's going to do the studies. And once that transition has been made, what we call vanquishing, once that wetland has been compacted and been made habitable, then it's due for development. So the shift has been made. So when we evict these people who do not have permission, it is to prevent permanent development, because it is harder to deal with permanent developments than it is to deal with people who have makeshift.
Okay. What are the challenges is Nema facing in ensuring sustainable development?
There are many. Lack of understanding. For example, you know, for us, when we are doing our work, we know we are doing the right thing. It is never understood to be right. So lack of understanding is one of those. We've had law staff. We were 124, including support staff to support the
entire country.
For the entire country.
Wow.
We didn't have police. Population is growing. We didn't have technology, but the government of Uganda is now aware of the need to manage the environment, and they have the government of Uganda has intervened to support. We have got the Nema structure has been expanded, so we're going to get more staff. We're going to get environment police. The budget has been increased. We are automating to improve efficiency, and we're investing in technology, area technology, for monitoring and inspections.
Okay, what constitutes sustainable development according to Nema?
It's not according to Nema. It's a standard, globally accepted concept. Sustainable development is when aspects of the economy, social, and environment are considered when attempting to make decisions towards development. So if, for example, a road is going to be built, what are the economic benefits associated with it, environment challenges that may arise, and what are the social benefits or social challenges. So you mitigate potential social challenges and environment challenges, and then for the economic benefit, you approve, but give the following: don't do this, don't divert a river, do not kill habitat for certain biodiversity, suspend the road where possible, or turn in. Oil and gas is a perfect example. There are so many bends, for example, in the pipeline that have been created specifically to avoid certain sensitive ecosystems.
Okay, all right. But we'd also like an update on the, the litter control within Kampala City and the nationwide, the dustbin in vehicles. What's the progress on that?
People come up with all sorts of interesting words. The dustbin law. So dustbin caught the general buzz, but it's the express penalty administering express penalties on environment offences, and basically it was towards waste management. We recently saw another clip on social media where garbage was being dumped in a drainage channel. So the express penalty scheme is going on. It is continuous. It contributes money to the National Environment Fund, and that fund is growing. We are fining people, those who are littering, who are mismanaging waste, and who are committing all sorts of environment offences that would actually consume government time to prosecute. So we are making them pay fines, and people feel the fines far more deeply than they do feel other things. So it's progressing and it's going on well.
I know it's been a few months, but how would you rate the compliancy of Ugandans to it?
I would say fairly good, because most of the commercial vehicles have this facility in there. I mean, it could be better. It would have been even better if we had, for example, dustbins already along all the highways. Those are not yet there, but at least people are holding on to their waste. Even children are holding on to their waste. Schools are supportive. So it's picking up. It's work in progress.
All right.
Yeah.
Your closing remarks, Nema's commitment moving forward?
Nema is committed, and I can assure you that Nema has registered a lot of successes, but we are pounded so hard for a few inefficiencies here and there. We are aware of them, and as I have mentioned to you, we've got more resources, more personnel, more capacity, so you're going to see better things happening. The only thing we ask for is that support, and wherever you can, do not intentionally degrade. Hold on to your waste. Don't litter. If you see somebody, degrading the lake, and it's actually helping now. The sensitization that we've been carrying on is bearing fruit, because when people see degradation, they make noise about it.
Okay.
And everybody is afraid of shame and bad branding that comes with it. So in that sense, we have made progress. Just do better as much as we also try to offer you this service.
All right. Thank you so much, Naomi Karekaho, who is the Corporate Communications Manager with Nema, which is the body responsible for protecting and managing our environment by and large as Uganda. This brings us into a break. When we return, we're going to be having more. Stay tuned.